Apostolic vocation is a call to be in union with God and to labor with Him to bring salvation to the world. Every service we render through openness to the signs of the time and the needs of the people is a sharing in the proclamation of God's love to people. Mary Ward became aware of this call in her life at a very young age. Step by step, God revealed His dreams for her and molded her for a heroic beginning. She was born into a devout Catholic family in Yorkshire, England in 1585 when the English Catholics were persecuted for their faith. She grew up in a world of turbulence and in an atmosphere where heroism and martyrdom were everyday events. These situations of her early years made her strong in faith, determined in her convictions, and firm in facing difficulties of life. At the age of 15, she became aware that God was gently calling her to be wholly His. At that time, the only option for religious life open to women was in cloistered communities. So, her response to God's call involved separation from her native England and opposition from family and friends. Being a person of great faith and strength of character, Mary Ward sought help from God in prayer. Her attentiveness to God and her strong determination to do what He wanted of her helped her to offer her whole self to God. Never deviating from the way God called her, Mary Ward saw her task as paving the way for women to have a share in Christ's mission. With great earnestness, she spent her life following God's guidance in seeking and finding something new. As a woman enlightened to be ahead of her time, Mary Ward envisioned a religious community for women who were not cloistered and were free to bring God's love wherever there was a need. She and her companions would be actively involved in works of mercy, set up schools for girls, visited prisoners, and prepared people to receive the sacraments. To lay the foundation for an active, unenclosed religious institute for women, God blessed Mary Ward with 3 pivotal experiences. The Glory Vision of 1609 marks the beginning of Mary's vision to found the institute. God showed Mary Ward that the ultimate end of her life and work was to live for the glory of God under the banner of the cross. Being uncertain about the inner structure of her new foundation, Mary Ward held on to prayer, penance, and fasting to obtain light from God. In 1611, through the vision of Take the Same of the Society, God showed her by what means she had to achieve this end, placed with Christ to serve the kingdom. The Just Soul Vision of 1615 marked the interior disposition of the companions as freedom, justice, and sincerity. As we know, the Glory Vision, Take the Same, and the Just Soul are the spiritual principles underlying the activities of the congregation she founded. With these 3 experiences, Mary surrendered herself to God's will completely and moved on to the future. With great foresight, Mary Ward championed women's role in spreading God's compassion to the people of her time. The hallmark of Mary Ward's charism was service, but she was labeled as a heretic for wanting to answer God's call to serve in the Ignatian spirit and the charism of freedom, justice, and sincerity. She wanted to serve the people but died misunderstood. Walking in the footsteps of our great foundress Mary Ward, we are called to be companions of Jesus in mission in today's world and live our vocation in gratitude and joy. Whatever we do, even the simplest activity in loving union with Christ in virtue of our mission becomes a sharing in the service which we render to the world. Mary Ward's great foresight, heroic perseverance, and immense suffering are bearing fruit today, not only in the members of the congregation, but also in centers of education, medicine, social service, and hundreds of other good works, as well as in myriads of empowered women rendering great services. Let us seek and find new steps to respond creatively to the needs of our time through our apostolic activities, based on truth, built on justice, and graced by love. Let us strive to create a just society where all God's children are restored to their God-given dignity, rights, and freedom through our apostolic effectiveness. Inspired by the heroic example of Mary Ward, let us become lovers of truth, doers of justice, for the greater honor and glory of God.